Captain Keenan, let's talk about military service members who are transitioning out, thinking about employment, as you were talking about before, starting going into their own business. Do you think it's a good idea to consider, and what are the risks and rewards?
Absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of options, and as we stated before, this is for a lot of veterans, a lot of military. This is a chance in your life to go do what you want to do. Whatever that dream was or whatever that thing was that you always wanted to chase, now's the time to try to do it, because you may not get another opportunity. So if you're interested in starting your own business, if there's a passion you have, or if there's a skill set you've obtained while you were in the military and you want to go ahead and try it on the outside, this is the time to do it. And you want to be thinking ahead about what that is, and if there are any special certifications or requirements, both state and federal, for your business. For a lot of folks, they'll start up a limited liability corporation, an LLC. It's pretty simple to do in most states. You can even set up an LLC of one with yourself to get started with. A lot of folks go into consulting. Some folks like to make stuff and sell it. Some people are craftsmen and they sell their own work. Whatever it is, you can do it, and it's not that hard to do, but you do need to have competent legal counsel, and you go ahead to set it up. I mean, you'll probably need a registered agent to start your business up with, your LLC, and they're going to give you some very limited basic functionality. If they're a distant company, you'll deal with them online, and they'll give you a basic structure for a business agreement, and an outline for your business, and how it will work, and get you through the state's loopholes. They'll even help you get your employment ID number, your EIN, with the IRS, and then you'll be set. But you want to have a competent legal attorney look your stuff over and make sure it's specific for the state or the locality that you're in, for the business that you're getting into, and for your special status as a former military member and a veteran, because there may be some special considerations or some special benefits or programs that you may not know about that your attorney can help you and point you in the right direction on.
It's true, and thank you. And so I do want to make a plug here that having a veteran-owned business designation can help you, especially in the area we're in. We're in the DC area, get contracts and bid on contracts. So you and I are both big fans of LinkedIn.
Yes.
There's no hesitation there. Counsel your audience about the importance of LinkedIn after you transition.
Yeah, it's one of those things a lot of folks don't think about while they're on active duty, again, because they're so busy doing the mission and they don't really need LinkedIn. But I think it's a good thing to start and, have an account and learn the ins and outs of LinkedIn, because when you transition and you get into the outside business world or job market, it is invaluable. And it's a great way to connect with your military contacts while you're in the military, and then start building your network, because that network, they will transition out also someday, as you will, and they will become your post-military, the foundation of your post-military network as you grow and meet other folks. And, I think it's safe to say that most employment opportunities that are out there get filled through your networking.
Correct.
I think that's the reality of the situation, is that if a company or a corporation or a business is hiring and they're looking for someone with your post-military skill set, well, there may be a number of folks that have your unique skill set. You may think you're unique, but you're probably not that unique. But it helps if you have someone in your network who's in that company or affiliated with that company or business that can vouch for you and say, this is a good fellow, this is a good guy, a good person, a good gal, and I can vouch for them. That really gives confidence to folks that are in the hiring managers
Yeah, because you never know what the hiring cycle is going to be like when you need the employment. And I have personally found, I don't know if you have this experience as well, that a lot of people in the defense community are not active on social media. So that's kind of the social networking that's done is on LinkedIn in my experience.
It is, and I think there's a couple reasons for that. One is because you're often deployed while you're on active duty. You're away from, and you don't spend a lot of time on social media. And if you do, it's probably Facebook, which isn't, that's a whole separate issue. You want to keep your Facebook account kind of low key and professional. And you certainly want to keep your LinkedIn account professional. But, military service members are often targets of nefarious groups that are trying to do intel collection and gain some insight into them or their jobs or what the military is doing. So they have to be on guard about that and be very careful on both LinkedIn and Facebook. So you want to make sure you know who you're connecting with. I tend to tell people, make sure you personally know who you're connecting with in some form or fashion. It really helps if you met them face to face so that you know that you're connecting with who you think you're connecting with. But yeah, it is a great resource to find job opportunities, to connect with folks, to share experiences. And as you transition out and you're building your brand, whatever your brand may be, that's a great place to advertise your brand.
Huge. I mean, I don't think it can be understated. So you had mentioned before in a conversation that we had about some resources that are available. One I know you love and I'd love for you to speak about is SkillBridge, military one source, of course. We'll put all these up on the slide so people can see them, but it's good to hear your
It certainly is. And SkillBridge keeps coming up time and again, as I you'll see it a lot on LinkedIn, and as you sit in on particularly virtual job fairs, a lot of the companies, particularly major corporations, have SkillBridge opportunities where service members who are, on the verge of transitioning within so many months of transitioning out of the service, can get a SkillBridge opportunity, essentially a part-time or a, short opportunity to work nested in with a company, to understand what the company does and to do some work with the company. It allows a service member to get a feel for what that company does, the kind of work they do, and it gets the company a chance to build trust and confidence in that service member. And, maybe they start thinking this is somebody they want to bring in full time after that person transitions out. So it's a nice way to bridge the gap while you're on active duty and then through your transition. Of course, your command has to authorize you to take advantage of this SkillBridge opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think my experience is that most commands are pretty understanding about that. And, the good commanders want their transitioning service members to land successfully and to do well. So they'll make that sacrifice in terms of losing that person without a backfill, so that it plays better for the service member and their long-term good. And I think that's what we all want for our service members, is for them to be successful as they transition out.
Yeah. And for an individual who is deciding to start their own business, maybe right out of the gate, maybe before they retire or alongside, employment that they have, talk to us about funding and capitalizing and the investments. You're sort of considering the same thing. So you've gone through the same thought process.
Yeah. It's not like we said earlier, it's a one time to really, you've got time to think about stuff and to do what you've always wanted to do. But a lot of service members aren't thinking that while they're on active duty, again, because of the mission, and that's their sole focus, is doing the job. But they probably need to think about that, because if you're going to start your own business and you're going to need some seed capital and you're going to need it to get it from somewhere, So you can fund it yourself, but that can get expensive. But there's going to be some stuff you're going to have to fund for yourself. So you're going to have to be planning and saving for that and putting money aside somewhere in investment to do that. And then when you transition out, you need to be aware of what small business help is out there. And the Navy has a lot of small business initiatives. Being former Navy, I'm kind of familiar with that, but I think most of the services,
The branches do.
most of the branches have small business initiatives, and there are opportunities to get loans or grants through those programs. Certainly the VA and other veterans organizations have similar programs that could be researched.
Yep.
It may not be a lot of seed capital, but every little bit helps. So there are opportunities out there.
We say don't expect your business to be profitable for the first 12 months. That's not a winning mindset. But if you do need to apply for a business loan or a line of credit, what's the most important part of that assessment?
Well, like anytime you go out to get a loan, you got to make sure that your credit score is good. So you've got to be thinking early on, and really all through your career, you want to have responsible credit, particularly if you have a security clearance. That's one of the things that they look at is how do you handle money, and having a good credit score is a good thing to have. And particularly as you're moving closer to transitioning, you want to get that score as high as you can. So you need to understand what goes into the credit score calculation and how to get it higher. You don't want to have a lot of credit card debt. You want to have credit available. You want to make your payments on time. You want to be making more than the minimum payment. You want to pay it before the due date. So little things you can do, little good habits, good
Respond to creditors. Don't go on deployment and just not.
You're not hearing from creditors because you're paying everything on time, and you're a low risk credit risk, which is what you want to be for the lender. But as you're transitioning out, you want to do everything you can to position yourself so that if you have to ask for a small business loan, you're in a position to get a yes answer out of creditor.
Yeah, you can get it.
And you want to do your research on who are the reputable lenders, and not get yourself into a high predatory lending scheme. Because the other thing that kind of feeds into this as you're transitioning out with the service, some things you're not going to have that you had when you're on active duty is the Service Member Civil Relief Act will not apply to you once you become a veteran. The Military Lending Act and those protections aren't there anymore. So some things that you got very used to as an active duty service member and some low interest rates on your credit cards and some other key loans, they will probably not be there.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's a big adjustment. It's a big adjustment to do that because some things do continue, right? You still get your benefits, you still get your access, the commissary, all of that stuff, but these other things kind of fall off. I want to ambush you with permission with a question that we didn't talk about, but it just popped into my head. So I want to see if you have any thoughts about this. But
Sure.
and you can harken back to your experience and observations of people or just speculate. But what do you think about going into business with other people? As a prior service member, maybe this is with someone who has an area of expertise that you don't have it, so you need to do it. Is that advisable? Or with another prior service member or your spouse or a family member, kind of what are the considerations that you would say as a 29-year captain that people should be thinking about?
Yeah, that's a great question, and a lot of folks do that. And certainly, like with anything, you want to make sure you understand who you're getting into business with.
Yeah.
It would help if it's someone that you're familiar with from your military days, that you have a certain amount of trust or friendship with. But you got to be careful with that, because when you get into business with someone, it's all about the business.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, you're both business people, and both business people are going to be looking after their own interests, and that can sometimes stress some friendships and relationships that you may have had before. So I would caution to be very careful about that. But if you want to get into an area, I think a partnership with a recognized expert that you're familiar with and that you trust and has a good reputation, you could kind of start to learn the ins and outs of that business. And at some point, maybe branch off on your own and start your own business in that area. And you could do that as kind of a ladder effect, where if you have different contacts or different associates that specialize in different businesses, you can kind of learn a little bit about each of those businesses and then bring them together in your own business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you would probably agree with the sentiment. Like there's a lot of businesses that benefit from having one of their owners or members of their organization be military or prior military. They can get more contracts. They can get just more favorable conditions and bids. And so a lot of individuals will look for someone who's just going to be a figurehead or just part of the company in name only. And there's some liability there and risk. So as I always say, good contracts make good business partners. Be as organized as you would in anything else. Any other closing thoughts about businesses for transition service members?
No, I would just say this is it's really challenging for service members as they're transitioning out, because they are really entering into a whole new world that is very different from what they're used to, with a very regimented lifestyle, very scheduled, and a lot of things are provided for them that they don't, you don't think twice about.
Right.
When you transition out, you're really on your own, and that means you and your family are on your road. So have a plan, and be thinking about what you want to do, and tackle it aggressively. Don't be passive about it. Don't be shy about it. It's challenging sometimes, but it's not impossible. People do it every single day, and with the background and experience and the leadership that you've already had and shown in the military service, you will absolutely succeed on the outside, without a doubt. Believe in yourself, lead on your friends and family and mentors and contacts, and you'll do fantastic stuff out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Captain Keenan.
Thank you.
It was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.